everybody. Welcome to Between the Sheets podcast. We are here yet again. We're here the first and third Friday of every month at 7 p.m. Follow us. I always forget this. Follow us on Facebook, Between the Sheets podcast. Instagram is QTE Brat. Also, we have a website, betweenthesheetspodcast.com. I still need Kim's bio.
I'm sorry.
But anyway, don't forget, call in. We love to have you. It's like you joined us at the table. We love to hear your insight. Even if you don't agree with us, bring it on. We're really tough bitches. We really are. But it's all about love here around the table. Call-in number is 323-524-2599. Tony, thank you very much. Tony's running the board, so if there's any complaints, I'll give you his email later. And joining us tonight, we have Wendy Nathan, hi. Kim Sanchez, hi. Mara Shane, Roxanne. Oh my God, this side is the women with the problematic names. Well, first one has 8 of them. So we have Roxanne Rosen, and then we have Miss Delicia. Let me say it. Delicia.
No.
Delicia.
Delicia.
Otherwise delicious. Hey, I just want to say thank you all for coming to the L Brunch last Sunday. Between the Sheets is a media sponsor in conjunction with them. We'll have it every last Sunday of every month at the Doheny Room in WeHo. So please come join us. Most of us will be there or make an appearance. And who wouldn't want their photos with us? We had some really hot photos that last Sunday.
We did.
Yeah. Also, we as of a few days ago, we also are the media sponsor for a wonderful event that's happening on October 13th at the Globe Theater. It's the United Second Annual Equality Fashion Show. If you want tickets, they're still available. Equality Fashion Week.com. You can get your tickets. Oops. Also, I'm giddy tonight. I don't know why. Also tonight, we are also giving away 2 tickets, 2 comp tickets to this magnificent event, courtesy of the, I don't even know what to say now, Nick I'll explain all this in a minute, okay? Nick Kacey, this hot person, Nick Kacey, sitting to my right. So let's all welcome Nick to the show.
Yay.
Nick is not only a fashion designer, but he is a transgender activist and has been for quite some time.
You're okay.
Am I? No, I'm not. I am not okay. I will stop right now. I'm going to. I'm telling you, this is a very complicated thing right now. We have the cuss jar. How the contest will work is Nick and I will explain the rules. We have dollars. If we screw up, then more money will go in the cuss jar. At the end of the night, I'm not going to count it on, I will count how much money is on air. Then go to the Between the Sheets podcast page. So if you haven't joined the page and you think you got it right, you're shit out of luck because you're not going to win. So you need to join the page, and then I will connect you with Nick, and then you'll get your tickets. So the cuss jar is now not a cuss jar tonight. It is a pronoun jar.
Uh-oh.
Yes. And pronouns used to be, him, her, they, them. I mean, they still are. But when speaking to, I'll just let you take it. Go.
Take it away, Nick.
I'm not even going to dig myself any deeper.
All right, so first of all, I use a pronoun jar because everywhere I go, people misgender me all the time. And so
Which pronoun? Say it again.
He'll explain.
I utilize the pronoun they and them. It's a singular they and them. And if I already know you're all thinking, oh, that's grammatically incorrect. It's actually not. So it actually goes back to Shakespearean times. The singular they has been used for a very, very long time. But in modern society, we just don't practice it. But if you think about, if you were, when you were a kid, if your mom told you to order pizza, your parent, whomever, said, hey, let's order pizza for dinner. And you call to order. And then the person you're talking to responds to you, and then you take the order, and then let's say your parent's like, oh, what did they say? It was very natural for them to use the word they, because they just didn't know who you would talk to, right? So that's how I tell people, like, think about that when you meet anybody. You should have that same response, right? Because you shouldn't make an assumption about a person's gender just by looking at them, right? Because you don't know how they identify. So that's why I always use they for myself, because I feel like I embrace all sides of different genders. So I'm very, very fluid. And I think that living so much of my life as a, born in the body that I was born in, I learned to embrace my feminine side. And now that I've transitioned and can be my truly authentic self, it doesn't mean that all of that just gets thrown away. So, like, I own that, and I feel very proud of it, so that's why I choose to identify that way. But if you mess up my pronoun tonight, you put $1 in that jar, and that goes to charity.
Shit, I am in trouble.
I am in shit trouble, too.
Gay Ann, you need some of my 20s.
I know.
Gaye Ann's already broke.
Yeah, I know. You know it. I'm sitting here going, because I was explaining to Nick, I think I'm just going to call Nick Nick and just be safe here.
But I know Nick, and we're friends for years, and so for me, Nick used to tell me you were okay with he or she or they. Is that no longer it? Okay.
Well, that was a very long time ago.
That was a long time. That was in June.
That was a long time ago.
No, I never said that. I've been using they for at least 4 years. So
that was
you
tequila in June.
Yeah, right.
I stand corrected.
Tequila in
I
June.
said that, like, I don't necessarily. I think maybe you misunderstood the pronoun versus my identity.
You know what? She
is
doesn't
the
even.
fluidity.
Maybe I
I'm just going to let you know.
What
This is the one with the chakras. She thinks the anus is part of the chakra. So I could understand her getting her pronouns mistaken.
Nick
Mara's
knows
never living that down.
that I
Never.
love Nick, so he's not going to get offended.
No.
They're not
You
gonna
owe
get
$1.
offended.
So
Nick,
Nick, I
you
love
just
how
said-
you just said that. It was might have been confused with your identity versus
your pronouns.
pronouns.
Yes.
Can you explain further,
Yes.
please?
Yeah, can you
'Cause I
explain
was like,
further?
can you explain?
So
This
I
identity
identify as a gender non-conforming, gender X, gender non-binary, masculine presenting individual. So that's a lot, obviously, for you to digest right now. So the best way to explain that is non-binary means not being limited to male or female, because that's how we identify gender right now in society is it's male or female for, most of society, right? But that's incorrect, because actually if you look into, like, a lot of indigenous cultures and, like, really ancient cultures, like, there's been many different types of gender, but we just never really practiced it in our modern society. So there are words that, like, in other languages that talk about, like, the two spirits and, like, all of these different, like, fluid identities that we are not used to. So it's not a new idea, but I think that, when there's identity and then there's expression. So the way I always explain it is, like, there's what's in your head, what's in your heart, and then what's between your legs. Those are 3 very different things, right? So
I think you're right, and I think because we were talking about gender identity, and you said he, she, and an I in my mind translated it to so I couldn't call Nick he or she. I personally see more of a boy when I look at Nick, and talk to Nick,
But Nick and I had a brief discussion, so I didn't sound like a total asshole before I got on air.
I'll leave that to me.
But the thing is, Nick actually said historically, Stonewall, which was the catalyst, we all think or heard, or I did, that it was a gay guy bar, and it was a gay guy who actually started this, but Nick actually said no. So why don't you explain the little history of that, which is the reality of the situation?
Right. So obviously back then, all of the only ways that homosexuals or really anyone that was not straight could hang out or meet other like-minded people were at bars, and the cops would come and raid it. And a lot of times at that time, like, the trans women were really the kind of, I always say, like, the protectors of that community. And so during a lot of these raids, it was a trans woman, Marsha P. Johnson, who actually threw the first brick and caused the riot.
Wow.
And so when Pride started, that movement, it was because she had done that. You know, and actually, if you really look at the history, there's a lot of documentaries right now on Netflix that share this story, and you can learn so much about it because you really understand that trans people have been at the forefront of every queer movement, and yet, even to this day, we are still at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to like protests that protect our rights. We don't see the rest of that community showing up for us, but we've been at all of everyone else's protests.
That is true.
Protecting all of your rights, you know. So.
But the gay community, I feel, sometimes they're really polarized. Like, gay men are for gay men, and they don't include lesbians. And I mean, it's just, it's too polarized. We should all be joining in for the same stuff. Like,
Exactly.
and we have to fight together.
And that's part of my problem with the whole labeling thing, is that I feel like if I'm forced to say what my preferred gender pronoun is, I'm being forced to put a label on myself, and I feel like that's bringing us backwards from what I've been fighting for my whole life, which was I don't want a label on me.
So what would you like to say? Because we were talking earlier, and you were saying that like you'll be in a meeting or something, and they'll just say that to you, and
it makes me very uncomfortable. It makes me very uncomfortable, and I'll tell you because
What makes you uncomfortable? I'm sorry.
People asking me what my preferred gender pronoun is, and it makes me uncomfortable. Maybe it's because I don't know what it is, but I think it makes me uncomfortable because it's not.
Who the hell asked that question?
A lot of people do.
I think that's
a lot of
you have
people
to ask
do.
because
I think that's
But
very
no one
polite
asked me
for
that
some
question.
No, me either.
So
but
I
most
think
organizations ask that question.
If you're, a lot of organization meetings that I've been in,
They
it's
wouldn't
like
ask
say your
me.
name and your preferred gender
No, they ask
pronoun,
everyone.
and everyone, and
If
it
I
makes
had
me very
short
uncomfortable.
hair-
No, you're
Honestly,
they would,
stereotyping.
but that's because I know that's what they're stereotyping them
well,
like.
they're actually they're doing exactly the opposite. They're trying not to stereotype. That's why they're asking.
They're trying to be polite.
that's
and
true.
considerate
because
by
they're
calling
being
you the
mindful.
right
For
pronoun.
example, if I walked into the room and I was in that meeting, everyone would assume probably one or the other, right? But no one would actually be mindful enough to know that I go by they. But if they don't ask, they would never know. So I think they just ask everyone now, which I actually think is a great practice.
But I think the point that got brought up earlier by Gaye Ann was, why can't I just call you Nick? And that's exactly what I say in those meetings. Is that question makes me very uncomfortable. Just call me Delisha.
But look,
like
if
I am.
I can't even
agree
call
with
you
you.
Delisha.
I
can't
agree
even
with
call
you. I wish we lived in a world that would happen. But the thing is that I don't think anyone here, even here while we're talking about this, it's impossible that anyone here will stop using pronouns.
That's correct.
I guarantee you, we can play a different game.
But do you think
If you
that
use a
would
pronoun at all
change?
to anyone?
Do you think
You
that
know?
that would change if we push to stop using the labels versus using the labels, which is kind of
but
doing
if we did a non-genderless label like they,
they.
right? Exactly.
wouldn't that be awesome if that was
Be amazing.
everyone?
Because we were all
Right?
they.
We're
Yes.
all they.
We're all they.
That's
I
But
agree.
I agree with Kim. I mean, I served on the LA Pride, the West Hollywood Pride Board for 12 years. And there was polarity. Even within the board meetings, it was like 8 men, 2 women. And then... And I loved working
still
with
that
you,
way now.
okay? I know it still is. But it's like I was the head of entertainment, and they had a big budget for like some other area that wasn't going to generate revenue. Entertainment generates a lot of the revenue at Gay Pride, and they were nitpicking, and I swear to God, I really thought it was because I was a woman. And it's like, really? So the conversations at the table, because it was so imbalanced, it was, let's push the guys' agenda forward. And the 3 of us were like, but wait, we're here. You're absolutely right about the transgender community, because they came to us on numerous occasions in our board meetings, because there was transgender pride back in the day. I don't know if they still have it.
Yeah, trans pride has grown a lot.
Okay, and this is when I think it was first starting, or it was small in LA, and they came to the table to ask for support, and they even came and did, not a show and tell, but an explanation, and they said, we don't feel that LA Pride is inclusive. And they were right. And they didn't get... Oh, I used they. Was I supposed to? Yeah. Okay. They were absolutely right. So that was that whole incident. But it's true. If all of us who are not straight Okay, because it's
It doesn't
straight.
even matter. That's your sexuality.
But I think
Sexuality has
but
nothing to do
hold
with
on,
anything.
but Nick, I think it starts with us first, the ones who aren't straight. When there's so much segmentation and discrimination within our own, and we're fighting for the same cause, how can we unify to be this one big front to then be inclusive? Because if we're still fighting amongst each other and we don't have a clear path supporting each other, why would anybody else want to? They see that break and they attack it.
I agree with you, but you're also lumping in people who are gender nonconforming as queer people, and not all gender nonconforming people are queer.
Can you explain that one more time?
Sure. So there's your sexual orientation, there is your identity, your gender identity, and then there's your gender expression, and then there's your biology, right? So if a person, so let's say for me, I'm gender nonconforming, so I use they, but I can also be totally not queer. You know what I mean? Like what if I only liked women? What if I only liked men? Like, it doesn't mean that I'm anything, right? But I just happen to be queer, and I happen to be trans, right? But that's different. Like, if I was cisgendered, which means I was born in a body that I identify with,
Okay.
which is like different than transgender, right?
Right.
So then, if I was born, let's say, a man, and I liked women, but I happen to identify as gender nonconforming, you would probably assume I'm straight.
Correct.
Right. And that would be a label that might be accurate, but personally for me, I might just not use any label, and I would just say I'm pansexual. I just like everybody, right?
Okay.
So
It sounds like when you don't use a label that's like bi. No. Never mind.
Well, I think too that
I'm confused with you. You're confusing me tonight.
at that point we can go back a little bit to the science behind it too, and because I'm really interested in the medical right now, and I'd be interested to hear what your take is on the fact that, and this still happens, and it's happened forever, and I'm sure you know about it, how babies are born hermaphrodites, or they're born
Intersex.
and intersexed, and doctors just decide without even telling the parents. And there are a lot of people out there who don't understand transgender, and I think if they understood that point, that they might be able to understand it a little better. So if you could talk a little bit about that.
I mean, so I always like use like, for example, some people are born without a pinky. Some people are born without certain parts. To me, I say I was born without a penis.
That's right.
As far as like intersex people, do you know that actually the percentage of intersex people who exist is the same statistic as people who have red hair?
Wow.
I have a note, and I'm not telling tales out of school. Do you know that Sheena, who has been a panel on here, is intersexed?
Were you allowed to like out them?
No, she said, yeah. I'm like,
Nick's gonna get you right now.
what have we done now? Surprise!
Throw all your money in the jar.
And I say it because Sheena is a pastor in Hollywood. It's the big LGBT church.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of it.
on a highway.
They didn't have anyone that was intersex represented to address that and teach classes, so they brought her on. So yes, I'm not outing her.
Okay.
But you know
would
what
be
I
pretty
really
bad.
love was what Gaye Ann and Kim said. Back in the days when I was growing up, I remember we were all friends. Gays, bisexuals, lesbians, everyone was friends. And then somehow when everyone became adults, it's like, no, I'm only going to, gay man clubs. I'm only going to lesbian clubs. And then there's bisexual.
What
that
year
will go
were
to
you
straight
born?
Clubs.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
No, seriously.
Don't worry about that.
And
Do you want to go to what year you were born?
Yeah, I was born in 1963. But my
77,
point is,
right?
what year were you born? This is a very important thing.
probably.
And I'm going to explain. Please tell me. Please. No dead air. Just say it.
77.
Okay. Okay. That's a whole different thing. Gays were not out. We were in the closet, okay? When you were born, when there were gay clubs, there used to be a red light in the club.
That's right.
And men everybody used to collect. There weren't lesbian bars, there weren't gay men bars. It was the gay bar. Everybody, and there was a doorman at the front.
Right.
And every time that they would see a cop, because the cops would come in and try and fuck it up because it was kind of illegal, who thought the guy would flip the red light switch and everybody was exchanged, so it was male, female, so it looked like it was a straight bar. Okay, then my generation came, which is the 80s. We were starting to make strides, and then AIDS hit, and then that became a curse. So we went back in the closet.
Even for the women?
Yeah.
You know what?
Because nobody knew what AIDS was. The men were the ones that were dying.
Right.
But, hey, look, I was out gay, okay? I used to go into a guy's bar, and I, who am pretty educated and very open-minded, was very hesitant in drinking a glass because I just didn't know.
Yeah.
No one knew. And it was the gay plague.
It was the gay plague. So I was gay, so eventually it'll hit me somehow. So, so then we went backwards. And then as they started finding, not cures, but medications that people were responding to, and there wasn't this... it was... You don't understand.
And I think understanding how we got AIDS, too, because we didn't even know that back then. And I remember having fear, like, drinking somebody else's glass, too, but we didn't know how it came. And so once that came out, then...
And the Reagan administration made sure that we were completely blind.
Of course.
But I think the point is that we weren't all friends. That's the basic point.
Yeah.
Like, we weren't all friends.
No, because
in my years we were.
Maybe because they didn't discuss when you're kids they don't discuss those things.
How old were you? You people. I
think in our generation, it was different because
we were all friends.
We were past the AIDS crisis.
Correct.
Right.
We were in this whole other arena, like in the 90s, where like there were all of a sudden a lot of lesbian clubs happening.
Yep.
I was helping with the promoter. I did the door at a lot of them. Like I was friends with everyone.
But Nick,
I loved everybody.
Can I ask you a question? Because again, in the early discussion, did you say initially you identified as a lesbian, or was I incorrect?
Because I didn't know how to be otherwise, because I couldn't come out and say to everyone like I was born a boy, or I should have been born a boy, because I didn't know any trans people at the time. I had no role models. Yeah. Like I went through several suicidal attempts because I thought I shouldn't have been born in the first place. I didn't belong. Nobody wanted me. Like, why am I here? But I spent so many years trying to fit into the lesbian community because I was like, wow, finally, like, I think these are my people, like, I feel like they should be, and then I started to meet other women who looked like me, who were, like, masculine presenting, and I was very, like, a tomboy, and I went through several phases, like, in college where I was like, oh, I'm going to try being feminine because, like, maybe that's what I'm, maybe I need to try that to see if I like it, and I didn't. I hated the attention. And so
not me and Mara.
And I hated that everybody was like, "Are you in love? Like, do you have a boyfriend?" And I was like, "No, what does that have to do with anything? Like, why can't I just try to like look pretty if I want to?
Right.
And so and then I finally realized that like I felt most comfortable being masculine. And I started to meet other women who are masculine presenting. I was like, oh, maybe I'm just like a really butch lesbian, And I was that for a very long time. But I think at the end of the day, it's not like, oh, I could choose to be this or I could choose to be that. What I realized is like, as a butch lesbian, I was so much more aggressive because I was so insecure and like uncomfortable in my body. You have to like puff up a little bit more to be more masculine, but then you're also trying to hide your boobs. I mean, there's so many things that you're just so uncomfortable about that I think you try to protect yourself, and I think that's why there becomes like this discourse in people because if everyone's uncomfortable and not authentic, they're all going to be really defensive.
Right.
And because do you
problems.
think that it's the single most misunderstood group of people? I mean, I can't
for sure.
I can't imagine what that must be like to not understand what's happening to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kim and I were at an Outfest movie a couple weeks ago, and it was about a lot of short films about transgender, and the main movie, I mean, it says 40% of transgender attempt or commit suicide.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
gosh,
it's
huge.
just sad
So
because they're not understood and they
understand
feel
that.
like they weren't born in the right body, and they're very sad. And then people are mean to them. Adults are mean to them. Kids their own age are mean to them, and it's
Even
very
gay
sad.
people are mean. To
Even
them.
gay people, because they don't get it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
people don't get it.
But it's like I work at a large entertainment company, and the beginning of last season, GLAAD came in because GLAAD has a certain, I think, area that addresses the transgender issues because they want to push out positive not enforcement, but positive imagery for the transgender community. Visibility. So they came, and all of us were in this thing, in this big auditorium, and they went through the whole pronoun thing, how about scripts, how they should be written. I mean, it was fascinating. Obviously, I paid attention, but it was a lot to absorb. And in my field, what I do, I'm not a script writer or anything like that, but it was just really fascinating, that 40-minute discussion or presentation that he had was really eye-opening, because I'm thinking, I'm a lesbian. I've been a lesbian for my whole life. I'm going to get this. I mean, I didn't get it. I didn't get it because, I'm from the thing is, okay, because I'm from the thing. I didn't choose to be gay. I'm of the belief that I was born gay. And I know there's dispute in the community. It's like, I didn't choose to be gay. I am gay. I've known I've been gay for years, had crushes on my teachers and stuff, female. Never wanted a boyfriend, liked my best friend. So all the signs were just screaming at me. But again, that's for me, and it was hard back then, but it was an easier transition than what the transgender community is going through.
Right. Yeah. So if I can clarify one more step further is so for example, when you say you've known that you were a lesbian, you were born a lesbian, that's who you are, right? So for me, I think sometimes people misconstrue the fact that it took me a while to come out as trans, that I was a lesbian and now I'm not. Mm. You know what I mean? And I think that what I want to clarify is that I've always been trans. Mm-hmm. I was born trans. And whether I had surgery or not, it still means I am trans because I was born in the body that I did not identify with, right?
Correct.
Mm. So when I finally came out to be able to say, actually, this is me, it was just that it took me a while to figure out because I didn't have role models. I didn't have someone that told me, that's an option,
Right.
So now when I see kids who are born and the younger generation who have parents who are very supportive and give them the option of wow, you this is how you identify, how can we help you, and get them on hormone blockers early on. And I think about that all the time, and I think, man, if I had that, how different my life would have been,
Now, speaking of parents being supportive, when you came out to your parents, because I'm assuming you at some point came out to them.
Yeah. No, my mom's all what? What's happening?
Yeah, what's happening? Hi, Mom. But I mean, were they? Because if I'm correct, you initially identified as a lesbian. So when you came out as a lesbian.
I labeled myself.
Yourself as a lesbian.
It doesn't mean I identified with it, but I labeled it myself because that's what I thought was closest to my identity.
And how did that go?
When I came out to my mom, she was pretty cool. She was like, actually, I have a secret too, and kind of blew me away. I was like, you just stole my thunder. So it was very anticlimactic because I was so nervous and holding it in for so long, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna finally tell her on this road trip, and then she was like, oh no,
she trumped you.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, cool, but I guess in a way it just made it okay, well, next topic,
So then when you knew you were transgender, was that another discussion?
When I've always known I was but when I came out. when I realized that I needed to be public and voice myself and be authentic and live an authentic life, that was the one last thing that needed to be done. I planned my surgery and I didn't tell my mom about it until 1 week before the surgery. And we were on the phone because I don't get to see her very often. And I was like, oh, by the way, I'm going to have surgery next week. And, I'm going to have a double mastectomy, blah, 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 and a hysterectomy. And she was literally like, what? She was, but she caught herself. She did the typical, Asian, ah, yeah, And then she was like, and then she caught herself. She was like, are you sure? And I was like, I've thought about this my whole life. I am fucking sure. I mean, I didn't use fucking, it was in Chinese, but I was like, I'm sure. This is not something you just choose to do lightly. It's a massive surgery with a lot of pain and preparation. Like, I don't wish it upon anybody because it is literally the most painful thing I've ever experienced.
Oh, boy.
Probably minus people who actually give birth.
You did both surgeries at the same time?
No, I spaced them like a month apart so I could have time to heal with one before the other.
But still, that's
pretty close.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I left my job and I had insurance, so I was like, I'm going to do all this now while I still have
That's
insurance.
true, okay.
Yeah.
And I just want to add, like, I love how you had an easy coming out.
Oh,
And,
I did not. Oh,
well, I'm sorry, not coming out. An easy identification. You knew since you were a kid that you were gay.
Well, I didn't, because the choices were, for me at the time, I liked women, so what could I be? I didn't like men, so therefore I wasn't bisexual, although my mother told all her friends I was bisexual, every single one of them. So I knew I didn't like men, so that took the label of bisexual out of it. I mean, if I like both, I didn't only like men, so straight was out. So that just left lesbian because lesbians like women. So that must be how I was. I mean, I just made the shit up. I didn't know.
You see, when I was a kid, though, I went to Christian school. Okay,
I went to Catholic school.
There was no teaching of gay, straight, bisexual. I had no idea what the word bisexual was. I had no idea what the word gay was.
They teach that in school.
No,
I think they do now. I think they do now.
Of course, they have to.
Not when I was in school. It was like sex ed, straight,
Right.
hetero.
Yeah,
This is a guy and a
absolutely.
woman
Well, they still
with a
don't.
baby.
Oh, by the way,
In missionary
It's just-
position only.
Yeah.
Catholic school never taught sex education. Where I learned about gays and the fringe, okay, because there was transvestites and there was because I was 13 years old and I was clubbing. I went to the clubs in New York. I went to Studio 54. I went to Limelight, and I have to say the 80s in New York was the most amazing education of love because it wasn't a gay bar. It was just a club, and straight, gay, bi, trans, anybody, and you saw it in front of you, and it just became
And
the norm.
everyone,
I wish we could get
everyone
back to
knows
that.
the wildest ones are the Catholic girls.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone
That's
knows this.
That's true. But it's like you had that, though, but not everyone does. Like, I grew up in a small town, and let me tell you, I don't think there was anyone gay in my town. I don't think there was anyone that I knew of. So it's like, for me, it was very hard. It's like, well, I don't know what I am, and sometimes it does take someone a little later in life to figure things out.
Yeah.
But I think that's very akin to transgender too, because you're sitting there going, I don't quite know what I am. Where do I fit?
Well, I
Right.
knew, like, when I was in first or second grade, I had a best friend, and we were both, like, little tomboys. And I didn't really understand, like, I guess. Sorry, English is, like, my third language, so sometimes
It's okay.
I mess it up.
Pronouns has obviously become my fifth.
We're all missing at pronouns tonight. Don't worry about it.
Not using anything.
So, like, we would, like, walk home from school every day, and there was this really cute blonde girl that would walk with us, and I remember being like, so-and-so sitting on a tree, KIS, and she got so mad at me.
Why?
She was, like, so mad and walked off, and I was like, what? Like, why, And that was the first moment I realized that it was not okay for a girl to like a girl.
Ah, yes.
So that taught me that it was not okay for me. And so I was like, okay, I don't like anybody.
Right.
Yeah,
Nobody for me.
Yeah, nobody, And that was my first time of understanding sexuality and understanding, homophobia, I guess, even though I didn't know the word homophobia at the time.
Right.
But that kind of stood in my brain for a very, very long time. And every time I would see, like, a gay couple or something, I would always be like, ooh, I would always be so enamored by it, but then always being pulled away, like, oh, don't look at those people.
Nick, where did you grow up? Did you grow up
New
here?
York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I moved to New York when I was 7.
So I'm going to stop. Everyone, I know you're watching. I see you watching. I'm sure you guys have questions. 323-524-2599. Please call. If you're transgender, even better.
You won't have to wait in line on the phone.
No.
I also think, like, the word transgender get used a lot, and it's okay to just say trans.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Yeah, trans is, I feel like, so much more inclusive of the trans experience, because not everyone is necessarily transgendered, and transgender is not like a noun. You know what I mean? It's not like transgender did this. It's like someone. It's a descriptor.
But the thing is, I mean, obviously, a long time ago, there's transvestites.
Right.
Transsexual.
And then there's the word transitioning.
Right.
Well, that's when they're
Right.
But see, there's lots of trans.
That's why you just
that
say
don't
trans.
transition.
Yeah.
Good point.
Exactly.
So you could feel like a boy, but it doesn't mean you're going to do anything.
The first person I met that was female to male. His name was Billy. It was in Club 22 in North Hollywood. That's how old I am. He was a handsome guy, and he was with this stunning ex-model, and they would always come into it was technically a lesbian bar. And I remember we were drinking, and I was talking to him and his girlfriend at the time, and he blurted out that he was a female to male. And you had to see my face. I mean, I can imagine my face. I'm going, excuse me? Because he was a guy. I mean, facial hair, everything. And I'm like, and then I got drunker. And I said, so, yeah, you know what's coming up, right? I said,
Put $1 in now.
I said, so, do you have a penis?
No.
Wrong question. Never supposed to do that.
It's so curious. I mean, how?
You know what?
Then you're reducing
Here's
it
the
to
freaking problem. Here's
to
the problem
genitals.
with me. I say things that people think, and it's not always good, but everyone always gets an answer. So he said, I do. And then he said, come with me.
Oh,
True story.
lucky you.
Went into, and then he asked his girlfriend if it was okay. Went into the men's restroom, which I had never been at that point in a men's restroom my whole life.
And she's following him.
I'm following him, and
like,
I'm
okay.
looking at and not always not understanding why a men's restroom was in a lesbian bar, but just went with it. And I was like, the first time I saw a urinal, I did not know what the hell that was. Couldn't understand why the bartender
Gaye
was
Ann, were
bringing.
you 13?
No.
Okay.
I was as open and as I was kind of like a little weird too, a little naive. I didn't know why they were bringing ice into the men's bathroom. I got it now at that point because I went in.
Yeah, I
What?
don't know why they do that. Huh? Anyway,
We'll proceed.
Oh my God.
And we went in the stall, and he took down his pants, and I was like, I mean, now, okay, mind you, up until that time, I'd never saw a real penis just on porn, so it was pretty fascinating. So then. It was actually really cool because it was educational. It wasn't like I didn't think it was dirty or anything. It was just really educational. I really appreciated that Billy did this for me. We went back, and then he literally then explained his whole life story to me and explained how it functions. And I was completely fascinated.
Wait, so how old were you when this happened?
14?
22.
Okay, so from 22, you've already had this experience, so you cannot sit here and tell me that
Right,
you're
that you're
ignorant,
ignorant.
that you don't know, because you've actually started knowing this way before I even did.
I knew it existed, but
I got an education from someone firsthand.
I did, but now I'm old and I'm not going to ask those questions.
this brings up
Stop
a
using that as an excuse.
Hush, I have a caller. Hold on, yay, caller. Hi, caller. Welcome to Between the Sheets. I'm Gaye Ann. What is your name?
So my name is Elizabeth.
Hi, Elizabeth. How are you?
Elizabeth.
She's my Elizabeth.
Oh, Elizabeth.
She's my Elizabeth.
Did you hear the last show, Elizabeth? She talked so highly
Yes,
about you.
You're her BFF.
I missed it. I was watching the one beforehand.
She clicked on the wrong link.
Well, you're pretty famous here on Between the Sheets.
I love you, Elizabeth.
I love you too, sweetheart.
So, do you have a question, or you just wanted to say hi?
I want to tell you a story.
Oh, okay.
I had a beautiful transgender cousin, male to female. I never met her until she was an adult. She was gorgeous. I never thought about what was underneath her clothes. She was a beautiful person. She identified from the time she was 2 years old as a girl.
Oh, wow.
Her friends, who I was at her memorial last February, her friends that were born and grown with her knew that she was a girl. She was beautiful. She always was a girl. She was a woman. Lauren Olivia Worsham, born Derek Worsham. She struggled. It was hard for her. Her family rejected her. She had behavioral problems. She acted out because of the rejection. She had mental health issues, post-traumatic stress disorder. And no one took the time to see the beautiful person that was inside there. And only one time ever, because we slept in the same bed together. My girlfriend, like my friend, right? A girl.
Mm-hmm.
And no difference. And one day she said, "Oh my gosh, my thing almost fell out." I said, "If it falls out, I'm going to have a heart attack because I don't know you have one." And that's the truth.
Because it shouldn't
So
matter.
it doesn't. And the other thing I want to say is that I get on Tanya for this. It's because it's gay this and trans this and this and this and this. And why can't we just be unified as people?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hallelujah.
Well, I don't care who you sleep with. That's not important to me.
Well, obviously Tanya does, as long as they don't have an STD.
Yeah, of course. And Coach is good at making sure they don't.
I am. Show me that laminated card.
But the point of my story is that I feel that she's being disrespected now because her mother has gone back to calling her her male name.
Oh, since she passed on.
Yes.
Oh, that's
And
very,
it breaks my heart.
yeah,
I heard her call it the other day, and it was like I got stabbed.
yeah. Did you
And
say something?
For the services, she did both male and female because some people knew her as a male and some people never knew her as a female. And I wasn't going to question how her mother wanted to honor her, right?
Right.
But when she called her Derek the other day, oh my God, my heart broke for Lauren.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my story. I just wanted to call in and share it.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Well, thank you,
Sorry
Elizabeth, for
for
calling, and
that.
I'm
So
sorry
sorry,
for your
Elizabeth.
loss.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing. That's a nice memorial and honor to her.
Yes.
You know, I wish you guys had been online, that I could have sent her to you via phone while she was still alive. She might still be alive.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
And that's why it's so
Yeah.
important for us to be visible and to come out and do whatever I can to be visible and out and speak up, because I know what it felt like for me as a child, not having somebody to look up to or to even just hear out or talk to. So that's why I encourage a lot of people.
She couldn't believe I just loved her unconditionally.
Yeah.
She couldn't believe it.
Look,
And I did.
You know what, Elizabeth? Unfortunately, in life and on this journey, people in general, they don't believe people can love unconditionally because there's always an agenda. And then you take it one step further, and then it's even more painful. So I appreciate you and applaud you for loving her unconditionally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and Nick, how do you feel?
Well-
How do you feel that
Go ahead.
the education is happening slowly? I mean, obviously too slowly, but how do you feel about the progress?
Well, I think in the last 2 years it's grown exponentially, and I think a lot of that has to do with media and the fact that there's more and more people that are celebrities that are coming out, and that helps a lot. But it's still a minority, and it's still underrepresented, and we're still kind of invisible. And that's even why, I created Equality Fashion Week, for example, is because in fashion, even though so many of us are at the forefront of creating new designs that help, represent or give us the opportunity to be authentic, and yet our designs are appropriated and it goes into mainstream culture, and then it's forgotten where it came from. And then on the
You know what,
runways-
Nick? I want to hook you up with my grandson, Matt, because he's into that kind of clothing, but he's heterosexual.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, I'm inclusive.
It doesn't matter.
That's why my brand is
Wear
all about
whatever
gender
you
equality.
wanna wear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he believes you should wear whatever makes you comfortable.
Exactly.
And he says, I'm comfortable in what I want to wear.
Exactly.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth,
Thanks,
for calling in. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
I love
Thank
you.
Thanks,
Please
Elizabeth.
connect me with Matthew.
But like the first big transgender, because of course I always bring it back to media, the big first transgender show was Transparent.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. But that's not really the first one. I mean, they had on
That was
the
the
L
first-
Word.
Yeah.
Well-
The L Word. They had Danielle C's character Moira was no
Max.
Max. But
Yeah.
then okay, Max.
Yeah, Danielle.
And I remember that scene with Jenny looking at him.
I can't stand Jenny. I'm glad she's not
Oh,
coming back.
I know.
Oh, I
But-
thought she was. I
no,
can't
let's
stand
get
her either.
let's get this thought out though. So I remember.
I love you, babe.
Love you, babe. With Jenny yelling at her, going, "If I wanted to be with a guy, I would. I don't accept you." And I think that was great of the writers because they're not afraid to go there. And this is again touching on two separate issues. It's touching on gender versus your sexual preference. And this time, L Word's coming out again in December. I think it's December.
And they have a trans person on
Yes,
there.
they do.
Trans
Yes,
person.
they do.
They probably
Of
caught a
color.
lot of shit for not having. Well, this was in 2004, so they were still way ahead of the game.
They were way ahead.
But now, coming back in 2020, almost, they know to incorporate, play much more attention, put a lot more attention on the trans issues.
Well, you have
and
to.
the characters, yeah.
Because, look, forget about social media, TV, movies, that still plays an important role of how people view things in life.
Huge.
No matter whether it's what we're talking about now, excuse me, or something else. It's on the TV.
Sorry.
Social engineering.
Oh, I thought you were telling me how great my breasts were. I was going to say thank you.
They are great, by the way.
Stop. But you're blushing. I love it. Welcome to
always
Between
tell
the Sheets. We try
talk
to
about
do it.
everything.
We try to do that for everyone. But I forgot my thought.
You were talking, I think you were going to say
That the TV
the
is important.
Yeah, especially if you're in some small town in Oklahoma or something, you don't get to see this culture. Imagine what like seeing the L Word would do for you.
I
Back
think that
then.
actually the pivotal point was when Boys Don't Cry came out.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Got
I
so
didn't see
much,
that.
So sad.
Acknowledgement of number one, it being a true story, and two, like winning so many awards. That I think that's probably in my lifetime the first time that I was like, wow, everyone is aware of this issue.
Yeah.
You know.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
the first
So
one. Yeah.
yeah, but I want to bring us back. You had asked a question about intersex, and we never got to discuss.
Yeah,
it,
thank
so-
you. Because I think it's really important
Yeah.
for the people that don't understand the
Right.
transgendered community or the trans community. Let me
Right.
correct myself. I think
don't
it's
think
really
Why does that
important
have
to.
anything to do with it?
It has a minor part to do with it because even though not all intersex people are trans, obviously, but there is an impetus of like why there are some who end up being trans because the doctor
Took the
assigned
wrong-
them whatever they wanted to
Yeah.
assign,
Right.
and so
Yeah.
that wasn't authentic to themselves.
Yeah, of
and
course.
there's a big push for doctors not to do that anymore and let the
Mm-hmm.
child actually just decide for themselves like who they are when they grow up, and parents not making the
But
choice
then,
for them.
if you're cisgender born as the gender you are, and they're
You're
still wrong,
Oh, yeah, well, that's
then
why
there's no excuse.
I
then.
think in Sweden they no longer assign gender anymore when babies are born because you don't know.
Right, and they shouldn't because
know,
they're not
yeah.
going to know.
Those Swedes
They're
are
so far
amazing.
ahead. I know.
They really are.
And they're beautiful.
And they
What
are
are you talking
absolutely
about?
gorgeous.
They are.
What
I
Swedes?
do like Swedes.
Sweden.
Any
Sweden.
Sweden.
Oh,
And
Sweden.
People from Sweden.
Yes, yes. Swedish.
But I will tell
Not to
you
be
now,
confused with Swiss people.
on our California driver's license, there's a non-binary option.
That's
have it.
wonderful. It
But
would
the
be
thing
first
is,
state
there
to do that.
should be. I mean,
Yeah.
that's I think what Nick is trying to say, and what I think we're all in agreement of. There shouldn't be labels.
Right.
There just shouldn't
Yeah.
be labels. It should be brown hair, brown eyes. I even think weight should be deleted from the line.
I know. Why is it there?
I don't even think hair and eyes should. I mean,
For identification.
You
For
can change
identifi-
your hair
well, but if they
color
have your
all the
picture-
time, you change
Right,
your
yeah.
contacts. I mean, I don't think any of that really should matter because at the end of the day, if it was like locked in, I can understand it, but none of that stuff is locked in. Like all of those things can change. Your weight
How
fluctuates.
free would it be?
everything, you
How
know?
free would it be to be anything you wanted to be and not have a label?
Amazing.
That would be
Like,
amazing.
amazing.
Wow.
I believe that in the
Yeah.
future that's the case. And in fact, they did a study, and they said I think by like 2040 or something,
Dead.
40
Dead.
40% of all people will be non-binary by then.
Well, and they just came out with a
interesting.
Barbie that, just
Yes.
so you know,
Yes.
that has
Yeah.
a wig you can put on the short hair. It has a dress and a pants and whatever, so the
Wow,
kids
bravo.
can mix and
Barbie.
match.
From
I like
Mattel.
Yeah,
Bravo.
They knew where the money was, and that
awesome.
Well, that's the other thing, is that it becomes a money-making scheme, because now
Yeah.
people are understanding, like, oh, it's like this is a trend, and it's so important for
Light bulb.
folks
I
like
have-
myself
That was a strong
to,
light bulb.
to communicate that, like, we're not a trend. This is our life. This is our
Yes.
existence.
And let me get this out because somebody
Please,
wrote.
I don't think anybody can stop you.
Get it
I
out.
only have a thought for like 5 seconds. Okay,
it's gone.
so let me capitalize on this thought.
That's me.
Here we go. And there's nothing shiny to distract me right now.
My shirt.
The tagline, somebody, rhinestones on her shirt that says, can't look over there. The tagline for the Barbie was something like, we are not aspirational. Oh, God, now I forget the tagline. But we don't aim to inspire. We aim to be authentic or something like that.
Oh.
So one girl read that and she's like, what the hell does that mean? You don't aim to inspire. Are you saying trans isn't inspiring? No. They're saying
Be authentic.
they're saying that from my perspective, when I was a little one and I played with Barbies
So did I.
up until last year,
Up until yesterday.
they
Oh my God, you should do
They
Barbie
were-
jackets.
later.
Okay.
Yeah. They were very irritating to me when I got to be an adult because I looked at them and I'm playing with them having passed puberty, or I'm playing with little girls on the floor. We're all playing Barbies. And I'm looking at this doll like, you bitch, because this doll was thin and tiny
Yeah.
and perfect. So I think the inspirational tagline from Mattel is, we're not trying to aim for inspiring, we're trying to aim for realistic, or whatever it was. It's about realistic.
Looking
I
at
get it.
right now.
Yeah, you're being
Barbie has changed a
I
lot
see.
throughout the
Yeah.
years with body
Yeah.
type and everything too. So and colors and
I always,
so
well,
on and
I
so
realize
forth,
I always
so.
bought the Malibu Barbie type, the tan with the blonde hair and the light eyes.
Now
She was
They're hot.
She was
they're
hot.
They're hot, and
Yeah,
that's what,
I
and
was
that's
like,
what,
"Woo."
and that's what I am
dolls.
drawn to still, like a moth to a flame.
Yeah, Nick's pulling up
Nick,
the.
I have a question for you. On the study that you were talking about, did they cite a reason why they felt this shift was happening?
Because right now, if you look at most children, they are all starting to use they. They're all saying, "Don't label me, don't bind me into a box," and so just from that study alone, like these kids are going to become adults.
Right.
And they're going to be all non-binary.
when
Yeah.
when the
Thank you.
millennials have children, they're going to be very enlightened typically.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know?
So
They
imagine
are.
their
So-
generation
Let's
after
hope
that.
so.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
it's gonna.
I mean,
Finally
one would
going in the
hope.
right direction.
Let's hope
I mean,
so.
one would hope, and then of course,
Yeah.
government steps in, and we won't talk
Yeah,
about that.
let's not go
You know,
there.
I like how Angelina Jolie's daughter, if you want to say, I don't know what to say, John,
Child.
well, really Shiloh. Yeah,
Yeah.
Shiloh that
Child.
goes by, Shiloh that goes by John. She's completely, embraced that for the whole family has, and
Well, and share with
share with
Chaz, yeah.
Chaz, right?
Wait, here they're intended to be relatable, not aspirational.
That's it.
Yes,
relatable,
relatable,
not
not
aspirational.
aspirational.
But somebody took that to mean as, why can't we aspire to be trans? Like, what
Right.
is- but that's not how it's meant.
Right.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Read the pink lines.
Well, and
That was.
I think it's great that dolls are coming around to aspire people to be who they are. And even though they
you
say
have to
not
start at a young age.
aspirational,
Yeah.
they are actually encouraging people to be who you are
Yes.
at your core, which is amazing,
Right.
because that's going to teach little girls, little boys, little everybody's.
But okay,
you
wait.
know, little
Does she still
days.
have the big boobs, and
Yeah.
tiny waist?
No, they made her flatter and more round, so
okay.
a little. But this comes down to a really key point that I have always felt, even when I was trying to identify as if I'm gay or bi or whatever, which is that I feel we live in a world that sees with genital eyes.
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
feel that they see with heart eyes. And it's not about, yes, I can have a preference. Do I want to sleep with somebody or get involved with a penis or do I not want to? That's fine. But I've also walked the line where I've fallen in love with men because I see the person.
Right.
And I think the biggest mistake and misconception for the trans world is that it's all about your genitals. Like, give me a break. It's not about that. It's about your heart and your mind.
Well, I think that's in
That's
our
what Nick was
upbringing.
saying.
Yeah, I didn't have my first partner until I was 35 years old. I was married to a man for 10 years. I had 3 children. I met her, and people were like, "Oh, you're gay," and I'm like, "No, I'm not actually. But you're with a woman." I love the person that person is.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
she
what it
could
should
have had
be
a
about.
penis. It wouldn't have mattered. It
Right.
was who that person was, and it didn't matter.
Yeah, or like I know a lot of like women that used to be in the lesbian community, you know, with me when we were all young and partying, and then ended up marrying men and having children, and then like having other people in the community be like, "Oh yeah, she's straight now."
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
no, like
I
she
hate
didn't just
that.
change her identity. She just happened to find somebody else that she wanted to be with.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
Well, and
that's
I
okay.
think that's why it's so important what the trans community is doing for the rest of the world, honestly, is it's getting to people to get out of that box and stop thinking about, oh, you're a man, you're a woman, you have a penis, you have a pussy, whatever you want to call it, a yoni,
Vagina.
whatever, vagina, I don't care. But
JJ.
like, yeah. But like, you know, it's getting
Match.
people out of that little box
right.
and allowing people to say like, oh, okay, like I walked in here, when I looked at you, honestly, I didn't see a man, I didn't see a woman. I just saw you.
Yeah, but
You
I
know,
saw
and
your
that's-
hair, and it's really cool.
I know.
Nice hair.
Everybody, please call in 323-524-2599. We have half an hour. 323-524-2599. You know, we do have the contest. Don't forget.
You guys are doing really well.
We're
so far. I'm very
trying.
surprised.
So, you know,
Anything
I just keep
offensive?
calling you Nick.
so 2 free tickets to this amazing event October 13th at the Globe Theater.
Maybe I should talk a little bit about it.
Well, I
Should
was
I
just
go
gonna
into
say,
my
let's
notes?
do that.
Wine
Please,
and
please.
everything.
Yeah, so the theme of this year's
Well, hold on. Let me stop you first.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us how it came about? It's the second annual.
Yes. Okay.
It was so great last year, by the way.
Thank you.
So much fun.
Thank you. Yeah, so as a designer, so I started the first gender-free footwear and accessories company, and because I'm just very passionate about gender equality and equity, right? So as a designer, I started to do a lot of fashion shows, and so in all of these fashion shows that I would go to, one, there was a lot of cost associated with having to build a collection to show, first of all, and as a queer entrepreneur who's also like POC.
What's that again?
Person of color.
Oh, thank you.
It is usually harder for us to have the resources and the capital to do, basically we're less privileged, right? So it's a little bit more challenging, and also we face a lot more obstacles, right, because of a lot of discrimination. So it was hard to be able to do a lot of these fashion shows. And if you look at the mainstream fashion shows, they're like just beyond our reach at all. Like I could never.
Crazy.
Well, I don't want to say never because one day
It'll happen.
Yeah.
One day.
But like I just can't even fathom like how I would get the funds to do that. So what I realized I wanted to do was that I wanted to create a fashion week that allowed queer designers to have a platform to showcase their stuff and shine and have queer models and be inclusive and diverse, so that our community can really lift one another and also build, economic development. Because that really is the only way we're going to help each other, right?
Right.
If we don't pay each other, we're not going to get anywhere. We got to stop asking people to do things for free, for exposure. And I'm guilty of that too, like, because I'm broke. I don't know what to do, but at least like I try, like, okay, well, let's do a trade then, But also, honestly, trade doesn't pay your bills.
Right.
Right? So we are all trying to
That's
do
why
our
we don't
best.
live in Oregon, because that's
Right.
how they do things. It's all by trade.
Yeah.
That's
So-
like Burning Man or something.
That's all about that.
Yeah. Which is, it's not a bad form, but it's just all like
Oh, there
we
it
do
is.
have bills we have to pay.
Your shoes
so.
are really cool.
Thank you very much.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, would you explain how the shoe thing? Because
Yeah, so gender equal design for me, and again, it's subjective because it's something I created, but gendered equal design it means that when I developed and I designed the last, which is the shape of the shoe, I took away what was traditionally women's last or men's last because I don't believe in it. So right now when you buy shoes, they're all either men or women's, right?
and they're uncomfortable if you're a woman.
Yeah.
to
Yes,
wear a
they're
man's shoe.
so-
Right, because they're
Yeah.
incredible. Like I think it's like a psychological thing where they make men's shoes look bigger so that it compensates for something. And then they make women's shoes look smaller because they want women to be petite.
Yeah.
Right? So they make everyone's shoes look so tiny. So, like, even when you find a company that makes maybe the same style or similar style in a man and a women's version, I can put on the man's version and be like, okay, cool. Like, it's a little big, you know. But then when I go to the women's size, all of a sudden I'm like, my foot just looks 3 sizes smaller all of a sudden, even though I just only went 1 size down, you know?
Yeah.
It's all an optical illusion.
Are these shoes custom to the foot?
No, because that would cost thousands of dollars.
Okay.
Yeah, because that means I would have to build a last for every single person.
What do you do differently if, let's say, like a woman who presents masculine wanted to wear a masculine shoe?
It's all the design. It's the style.
It's the style.
Yeah, so when I design, like my first collection, the styles were more masculine presenting. So I don't call them men's shoes. I call them masculine presenting shoes.
That's
because
right.
Traditionally, they look more masculine,
but Nick,
right?
if that person wanted to go to the men's department and get a pair of fit her feet into men's shoes, it's not going to be as comfortable at all because it's not
Actually,
tailored.
men's shoes are more comfortable for me.
Oh, really?
Well,
Yeah.
traditionally,
Pants, too.
If you know, if a woman goes to a man's section to buy shoes, they probably can't find their size.
Exactly.
Right. You can't,
That's
I
the
can't
problem.
find my size. I'm
It's
not
not that
either.
they're
Four in men.
uncomfortable, it's
Either.
that the sizes
Yeah, so
are
the
not.
size is off. So,
But it depends
I
on your
have big
shoe
feet.
because what I will
Yeah.
do, I will go to the boys' shoe department.
which is horrible, by the way.
It is horrible, but I did get a pair of Uggs. You know,
Those are a
First of
little
all,
easy.
Uggs-
You can't mess up with Uggs
I'm
very.
saying the Uggs. It was like they were like $75, and it was boys. I'm like, I'm so getting this.
Talk about non-gender shoes.
Nick is
Uggs
working on a
are
high
like
heel.
a great.
Can I tell that?
Sure.
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
Nick's doing a high heel type shoe, which I
really?
wanted him to do,
Which is
forever.
also gender equal. So basically,
Nice.
first collection was masculine presenting because that's what I like to wear. But I'm not a hypocrite, and I didn't want to be one, so I wanted to design something that was for everyone. So my second collection was Destiny, which is, to me, the destiny of my company, which is to design something for everyone. So when you look at it, literally, it's how you looked at me. Like, you look at a pair of those shoes, and you'd be like, I don't know if they're for a man or woman. And I want one day all shoes to be like that. you know?
Right.
So cool.
Yeah, and then finally, I'll probably get the heels coming out soon.
Well, that's a tricky one.
It
That'll
is,
be
you know,
interesting.
it's hard, number one, to be doing limited, small productions in the first place as a queer designer, let alone do something that, like, nobody else is really doing.
Remember
Right.
the
Like,
picture
the
I
amount
sent
of costs, yeah.
But your price point is actually really good for what you do.
I know that.
I think
yeah,
so.
But I only did that because I know our community is not always, successful or not successful, financially stable enough to be able to support the kind of shoe habits that I would want them to have, So, but, also all of my designs are very, I use fashion as activism. And so, like, my combat hate boots, which you can see right there on the upper
I love
left.
those.
Yeah, I love
so
them.
much.
They're
I do.
awesome.
I love them.
We're meant to kind of, I know people love Doc Martens and they should, but I wanted to create something unique for me, and I wanted something that was going to help everybody be able to, wear something that they can be proud of and be authentic and not feel like, oh, I'm in men's shoes or women's shoes, and also really comfortable. So.
But
I'm going to buy those.
Yeah, me too. I'm sitting here
They just
going,
came in stock, so they are in stock right now.
I love that.
I do too.
Are they cushy?
There, so far, literally, I've had 4 people in the past week because I just shipped it last week. I've already had 4 people, some I know, some I don't know, who have said literally they're the most comfortable shoes they've ever
Sweet.
had.
Wow,
I like
that's the most
cushy
important
shoes.
thing when it comes to shoes.
Yeah, it's comfortable.
Yeah.
See, and I just want some comfortable heels. So
That would be
please,
nice.
That would be
Please.
so
That's
nice.
nice.
I love heels.
Comfortable heels.
Not so comfortable.
Right. Well, I think that's
think-
because the heels, the silhouette of a heel is not very healthy for your feet.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
No, I
It
can't
hurts
even wear
so
heels.
bad.
The position to put your body
And
in
at
is
the end of
really
the
bad
night-
for your neck. And
Your
yeah,
back.
At the
everything.
end of the
So
night, it's
uncomfortable.
like literally I sit there and I go, I can't wait to get home. I can't wait to get home.
Yeah.
I don't wear them
I go
anymore.
into my car, flip off the shoes, and then my toes are sometimes
Right.
like
Stuck.
numb.
Yeah, and they're
And
stuck,
stuck
in that
because it's
position.
been like,
yeah.
Yes, and I'm like, stop, and I'm thinking, oh my
torture.
god, I'm
They're
gonna have another
freaking
handicap.
torture.
At least you have till the end of the night. I have 2 hours. After 2 hours, I'm like, I gotta go.
I can't even do it for 15 minutes.
Yeah,
I
no.
can wear them when
Oh,
I'm
y'all,
sitting.
when we're done, I'm going to show you my shoes, and you're going to make fun of me.
Uh-oh.
Why?
Because
Are they
all I
comfortable?
wear are heels.
That's good. Some people
I
do
love
it.
women who wear
I love
heels.
heels.
Well,
Like,
that's
I
sexy.
love
That's
heels.
hot.
I love heels.
I love heels,
They're
but
sexy.
I'm also
They're
like so used to like every single girl I've ever dated. Like I ended up having to like carry them by the
Yeah.
end of
And
the
their
night.
bags.
Yeah.
You
Their
know,
purses.
and their bags. Yeah.
So let's talk about the event on October 13th.
Yeah, so that's kind of like how I started this event. Was I always wanted to do it, and I realized I couldn't believe that in LA there was no queer fashion week here, considering how many queer designers there are here.
Is there any in New York or anywhere else?
So in New York we have obviously the Dapper Q fashion
right.
show. New York Fashion Week is top notch, one of the best fashion shows I've ever been to, and Anita does an amazing job. Anita from Dapper Q, and then there's Rainbow Fashion Week, with Jag, and I was a participant of that, and also great work, But in LA, we didn't have anything, and I just thought that's not acceptable anymore, And
for you.
I'm
Did
the
San
kind of
Fran?
person where I want something, I just do it.
Yeah,
So-
good. Sorry, I didn't
Yeah,
mean to
San
interrupt
Francisco.
you.
Yeah, they had a queer fashion week, which I also participated in, but that hasn't happened. I think for the last 2 years. So I'm not sure what's happening with that.
So is this show just showcasing you or other designers?
No, actually, this year I'm not showcasing myself at all
Oh, wonderful.
because
Okay.
I wanted to. Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
well, I don't want to just do it for myself. Like I wanted to do it for the community. So I thought the best way I could help the community was to really focus on the show and not my own collection. And I wanted to use the time that I would have had on stage to actually create a message that was, I think, really important to make. And because the theme is unity this year, because of all the shit that's happening in our world right now, I really wanted to call out that, I'm tired of showing up at my protests for my people and not seeing my siblings, And so I wanted this show to be the catalyst that brings all of us together. So that's why, I have Murray Swampy, I have Michaela Gordon, I have Jasmine Creighton. I've got all of these amazing people, Rose Garcia, Enoch Miller, Empress of WeHo. I have all these amazing people, and we're going to have over 114 models.
Oh, wow.
That's all different types of sizes, shapes,
that's
so
wonderful.
color, identities, expressions.
Okay, that's
everybody,
monumental right there.
Yeah.
It is going to be the most queer runway you've ever seen. And I don't mean
Love
queer
it.
in a sexual orientation way.
No.
I mean queer it is just
Off
a
the
rainbow,
hook.
So you would have a
Yeah.
heavy model in there?
Wow.
Every yeah.
That's
We're
awesome.
very body positive.
That's
We
amazing
have
and awesome.
intersex. We have everybody. Literally everyone.
That's one thing Barbie hasn't made.
Well, they've tried.
They've
but,
had a chunky Barbie,
Yeah, but
but
she
not
doesn't
super.
really-
Yeah, but she
chunky.
wasn't pretty.
Yeah,
It's like they made her chunky.
I don't know about that.
No, I mean,
Okay,
I
but
looked at her.
She wasn't very big though compared. She was a little bit bigger.
Well, in any case, back to my story.
Well, there we go.
Keep going back to
Sharks
Barbie,
are-
okay? Cut the Barbie
Leave
off.
Barbie
Yeah.
alone. So in any case, we've got 3 days of pop-ups to help generate sales, hopefully, and give the public exposure to what we're all about and how talented we are. So we have performers.
And
We're
Nick, are
gonna
the
have-
pop-ups all over the place?
No, the pop-up is only at the High Art Tattoo Gallery in Mid-City.
Okay.
We have a beautiful courtyard there. We're going to have 20-something vendors.
Oh, wow.
And just,
nice.
really, I've got nonprofits there for outreach. I've got, business people, designers, musicians, artists,
Wow.
tattoo artists as well.
And that'll be going all weekend?
It's going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the 14th to the 16th from 11 to 6. And I know it's a weekday, but, we live in LA, and I feel like a lot of people don't have, real full-time jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you can come
Or
during,
telecommute.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or come, during your lunch break or whatever. But, yeah, we're going to have, DJs. It's going to be, Stephanie Rice is going to be performing, Amanda Black, Katja Lavinia, Yell, and Andrew something. I forgot his name. But in any case, we got a lot going on. And then for the fashion show, I'm really excited because we're going to have basically 150 people total that is a part of the show.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
a big
100
production.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a huge undertaking, and for me, I'm always go big or go home.
Exactly.
So I want it to really make an impact, so this is my best way to do it.
Are you going to have a red carpet?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Sweet.
So, are you these vendors that are going to be part of the show? Are,
The pop-up?
the ones in the fashion show. The second, are they shoes and apparel and accessories, or what are their?
No, so for this year's fashion show, all the designers, like the presenting designers, are all mostly clothing or like leather accessories related. And then
leather.
Yes,
Leather.
Everyone needs
accessories.
leather in their life.
Yeah, we do.
For the pop-ups, it's everyone, like all different types of vendors. Yeah.
I just
So-
want to say, last year you had the coolest thing, the artist or designer that did the tape. And as the model walked down the runway, they added another piece of tape, and it became this amazing garment that
Oh, wow.
it was so beautiful.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was really fun.
No,
Also,
go ahead.
Nick's wearing something really cool here that
I love the
that
harness.
I
Yes.
just flipped out over when I first saw it on Nick because I'd never seen one before. You want-
It's my gender-free utility holster.
Look at that.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Nice.
So you don't have to worry about wearing a saddlebag, not a saddlebag, a fanny pack or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
Who wears a
stylish.
fanny pack anymore?
One of my friends did last week. I'm like, what are you doing?
Jesus.
It's got a really cool back
I'm
too.
so tired of carrying a purse around half
Me
the
too.
time.
Me
And
too.
having your
Yeah.
hands like
I love
this is
this.
gorgeous.
Yeah, it's also
very
great
attractive.
for moms, who have babies that.
Yeah.
You know,
Is this
please
your
their
design?
past-
Model
Yeah.
the back
And
of it.
is it online?
Yeah.
Yeah, see the back? Look at that crisscross on
Oh.
the back.
No, it's.
Very
Wow.
bondage. Love it.
Yeah.
I'd
nice.
actually
I like
like
it a
some
lot.
of those spike things for me.
Well, I mean, I wanted to design something because most of the holsters that I'd seen were like either super like biker gang ish,
Yeah.
or like super Burning Man,
Yeah.
And so I was like, there was nothing out there for me, and probably there's a lot of people that feel the same. And I like to dress up in suits and tuxes and also jeans and stuff, and so I wanted to design something that was versatile, and
I like it.
I feel like this was a very
Plus,
versatile.
it's hard to
design.
pickpocket
very
if
cool.
your arms
Really,
are like
yeah,
this.
Yeah.
I have like secret compartments, and it's very durable. And also the one thing I have not been very good at marketing is the fact that it's like 5 configurations. So the way I designed it is like it adjusts to any body type, any height, any identity. But also you can take it apart, and so like if you wanted to feel like more feminine one day, you can wear only this side as a purse and make this longer.
I love it.
And then you can wear it like a
Wow.
messenger bag if you wanted to.
Like across the shoulder thing. Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
I don't
Do you
even
have
like purses, and I
directions
love
when
it.
you buy this? Because I am the worst
Yeah.
person when things come, like the bra that you can wear 12
Oh
ways.
gosh, yes.
Right, the bra that way. I'm sitting here
Haven't
going,
heard of that.
5
and
ways.
you've got all this, and you're trying to do
I
it.
hate
I'm like, I
those.
can't stand this. It's very
hate
confusing. So, do you have a direction?
Yeah,
I would
I mean,
need you to
okay.
help me with that.
Yeah, I haven't for the different configurations. I haven't because I haven't even marketed it because I was like just trying to get it out into the masses to like just to wear it as is, But now that I've had time and I realize that like I have a really unique product and I should be marketing that.
Absolutely.
So I'm actually going to put the shoes kind of on the side now, and
nice.
I actually
focus
see
on
quite a
this.
few people around town wearing your stuff.
Yeah,
Wearing
sometimes I
this.
show up at events and then there's like
Yeah.
5 of us all wearing it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
let's take
Yeah.
a photo.
Haas always has hers on.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Are you doing other colors of leather?
Yes, yeah. So this, I think last month I came out with some new colors, so I'm taking pre-orders right now. We're in production. Yeah.
Are you
So
going to do any
what's
vegan line?
Yes, I've also been
pink
trying to
one.
source a new
job.
material. I've been looking at pineapple leather,
Ooh.
but it is kind of like really thick. So I don't know that it would feel very good, and also like the durability of non-leather but sustainable and eco-friendly materials
tough.
is
Yeah,
very
it is
hard
tough.
to find, and also like they're not very durable most of the time. So yeah, it's been really hard, and people always take like, oh, I'm not trying to work
Yeah.
with non-leather. It's not that I don't want to. It's just that I anything I want to use, I want to make sure that it's ethical and done the right way.
Yeah.
And that right now a lot of the faux leather are actually worse for the environment than actual
That's true.
leather.
Yeah, but
So-
easier
Because
on the
plastic.
animals. Yeah, but they're easier on
yeah,
the
but
animals.
you eat the animals.
What? Well,
I
okay,
don't.
I mean,
that's
it's
true.
the animals,
Yeah, but there are
but it's
people
the
who
plastic,
do. You know what I
but
mean? So
yeah.
it's not wasteful.
it's look, we should just not eat anything. And this, I'm thinking
I
we
pretty
shouldn't
much
eat
don't.
anything, shouldn't wear anything, just
Yeah.
walk around nude.
That'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
I would
I already did that over in Ibiza. So.
That is not an incentive to lose 40 pounds for me. I don't know what is.
That just perked me right up. I'm like, naked all the time. Yeah.
You're a hippie. I love it. I love that you're our hippie, our resident hippie.
Peace.
In Ibiza, that's how it is. It's that you go.
Have you been there?
Yes, you just go on the beaches and everyone's nude, and it doesn't matter
why
what.
my
But it's the
brother likes-
what
Europeans.
body shape you have.
Right.
It's everyone's body shape,
But
and it's
big-
okay.
But that's
They
okay.
accept
Europe
it.
and every other freaking country
Right.
except this country, there isn't this horrible thing about, it's this puritanical ideology of cuss words, fuck, cuss words, like not
Nipples.
Free the nipple.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
free the
fair that
nipple.
guys get to, parade around theirs.
And
but-
some guys have bigger boobs than I do.
And I just have to
okay?
tell you, I do
That's
sometimes,
true.
and it's not because I'm gay. I mean,
What
if a
do you
guy's,
do?
honest to God, if a guy's got a hot body, take off your shirt. I
Right.
love those little things.
Exactly, so
I
do
can
I.
always
The six-pack,
admire.
you mean?
Oh my God, that
Yeah.
one. I always
Eight-pack.
admire.
8-pack, yeah.
Oh, and you know what I love
I
on guys
honestly, I
too?
have- I
Okay,
have
you know
an
what my
8-pack. It's
favorite
just
part on
underneath.
guys? You know
Oh,
that
the V?
That's
Yeah,
when you see
the
the.
V.
Oh my God, how
Can
sexy!
we talk Jillian
Okay, but
Michaels?
yeah,
Whew,
but we
she's
can't-
got that. Whew.
Yeah, girls
Yeah,
have
we
it
can't
too.
blame
Work
men.
out
We
for
can't
it.
blame men now.
Yeah.
We're going to say that
looks
about
pretty
guys.
good.
We can't blame
I know,
men
right?
for like wanting that perfect female body.
No, I mean I'm just saying. I think that's beautiful. Just like hey, look, I admire any beautiful woman's body, but I also, have learned to love my own body.
Right.
There was a woman, a goddess, Shama. She passed away. She was a goddess part. She would always rag on me, always, because I would say I'm fat, I'm this, I'm that, and she said, and she wasn't thin. She had just normal. We're normal women around this table, and she would say, go in the mirror every day, naked, and
Love
look at
yourself.
yourself and learn to love yourself and
That's
what
right.
you have.
I'm
One
not
step
there yet.
further, if you
I'm
could
not there
say
yet.
"I love you" to yourself while you're naked in the mirror, that's huge.
You know what I do? I mean, now, I didn't really, I did some of that, but, I've lost some weight, so I feel better about myself. So now, and I've got a full length mirror, and I don't look at it as much as I can.
Like this.
I'm like, oh, God, but, when I have come out of the shower sometimes and stuff, I now am at the point, maybe it is just being 55, 50, going on 56 in December. I look at my body and I sit there and go, this is what I have. This is me. Yeah, there's a little bit of cellulite. Yeah, there's a little bit of this. There's a little bit of that. But it's who I am. So I need to embrace it. Because if I think I'm beautiful, then people will see that in me and feel the same way.
Yeah, and if you don't if you absolutely can't stand your reflection, then start changing it. That's what I do.
I have a question, though. I think what really bothers me is that, first of all, we are taking what society has ingrained in us
As
and
ideal.
and using that as what we think is beautiful.
That's right.
Right? And
That's
that
right.
I think as long as you're healthy, it doesn't matter what your body looks like.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, but I just have to make a point to that. So I just dropped like 80 pounds because of Crohn's, and I was so sick. And one of the most frustrating things, I wanted to just kill people because everybody would see me and be like, "You look fantastic," and
Yeah.
I'd be like, "I am the sickest that I have
Person.
ever been in my life. I want to punch you in the face right now because you're not seeing me.
Right.
Yeah.
You're seeing what society thinks looks good."
Yeah.
And my own brother kept doing it over and over, and I'm like, "Dude, malnourishment is not equal a
Right.
good thing, you know?"
Well, it's like going up to an anorexic and saying, you look fabulous.
Exactly.
And it's like, you're so skinny. How wonderful.
Right.
And it's like, really?
But
you
even
know-
when you... Sorry.
No, you.
No, you first.
No, you.
Ladies first.
Okay. See, I like that pronoun on me. I'm okay with that.
I know.
Laura's like, okay, I'll go.
I feel that the fat shaming, body shaming shit out there is so prevalent, and it's just so awful. I was raised where my dad, God bless him, I love my dad, but he has ideals of, thin women, and so I've got a lot of issues that I have to talk out in therapy and also take action on. And I just feel that it's nice sometimes to see people. I don't know how some women that are just who they are happy with just like what they look like if they're not really skinny. It's really cool to see that. I have just been born and raised here, and that's just not. It wasn't acceptable.
But you don't have to stay there.
That's right.
Right, that's why I'm taking action to change.
Because,
but I don't
Mara,
want to starve myself.
But you don't.
But take action in your head. to change.
Right, exactly.
Because you don't need to change who you are. You're a beautiful,
beautiful.
person.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh.
Then
Thank
your
you.
problem is beyond the physical, what you see in the mirror.
It is. I really do see big flaws on me that I'm trying to work out and diet and get where I want to be.
And do others besides your father have point out your flaws?
Some people have, but
Wait, so are you saying that you think your flaws are physical?
well, and of course, not only physical, but yes, definitely physical and emotional and all the other realms, but definitely physical.
So,
Wow.
Hold on.
We're all like tongue-tied.
Yeah, I'm going
Like
to
this
tell
beautiful woman sitting
Yeah.
next to me
Right.
thinks that she's not beautiful.
You're
and I
gorgeous.
don't.
I
I
don't
really don't. And
understand.
just because I put up some good selfies of my face sometimes, which is maybe more than sometimes, it's good though because I love my face. But
Daily?
the rest of me, no, I do not do
kidding.
daily ones. The rest of me is like,
But Mara,
So-
I don't know you that well. But what I know of you, you're a beautiful, beautiful person,
Oh,
both
thanks.
inside and out. And I think
Thank you.
that really shines through. And you really need to
Own it.
look at your own it.
Well,
yeah,
that's great.
and
Thank you.
and
but
I
I
tell
feel
you
for
that,
people.
and I tell you, you're beautiful inside and out.
All right,
And
I'm going to tell you something.
This is a Mara show.
Stop. Stop.
Are you just fishing for compliments?
am.
No, she's not.
No,
this
not
is
really.
the
I'm
sad
not.
part. It's not. I
know.
wish she was, because then I'd call her that word.
Oh, yeah, the N-word. We did not talk about that. Yeah.
It really. I mean, I'm kind of shocked. I mean, I don't know what to say to you because you are beautiful. You're beautiful,
Thank you.
and it actually breaks my heart that you're saying that about yourself.
Oh, Gaye Ann.
Because I mean, we've all had body images, image issues. I mean, I used to say I was ugly for years. Okay, I think I've gotten better. I don't even think my looks have changed. That I've gotten better since I've gotten older. I think I'm just accepting what I have and seeing the beauty in that, and that's what makes me me.
Yes, I wish that, I need to work on being comfortable with all the other qualities that I have that make me me and not harping so much on that, like what people, like looking a certain way. And I think that even like trans, it's all image, it's not all image, but the outside reflection can get, psychologically.
People care a lot about what they perceive on the exterior,
Thank you.
right? And
That's
I
what I
think
mean.
that we all need to not let that dictate how we feel about
Exactly.
ourselves.
Exactly.
We
That's
have to
the
love
thing.
ourselves first. And
takes
trust me,
courage.
Thank you, Nick.
I
Thank you
was
very
I
much.
was a fat kid. Well, actually, I was a really skinny kid when I was in Hong Kong, and then when I moved to New York, because all of a sudden I was living with my next door neighbor, and they were German Italian, and they just let
Like
me eat
pizza!
whatever. Yeah. So all of a sudden, like my mom came back and was like, "What happened to you?" And for years and years and years, I was fatter, and like. When I think most kids, also I was one of those kids with a lot of trauma, and I think I've been reading the Deepest Well, and I think it's teaching me to recognize that while other kids who have maybe healthier childhoods got to go out and play and grow and let their bodies develop, in a healthier way, mine was just going wider because I was like holding on to all of these things
Yes.
and trying to just survive, try not to get bullied or become the bully, and then hating myself for it, and like all of these different things that did not allow my body to grow and develop the way it should have. And it took me years to come to the realization of like looking in the mirror and be like, if I can start living my most authentic self, then I can love myself fully. And that's the only way someone else is going to love me fully.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is the lesson, isn't it? Because even with the trans, looking at the trans community, whatever, it's still eyes perceiving. And so I think whether it's just it's like the outside world looking at you and where you feel it's expression.
The thing is, if we could just get to a place within ourselves that it doesn't matter if people judgment.
Yeah, what they think.
What
We
they
still
think.
care.
If we
Yeah.
could just be whole inside, and it's all about self-love and acceptance and knowing who you are, being your authentic self. If that's who you are, you present that. And you know what? The people
courage.
who are going to love you are going to be with you. The people who are going to judge you, you don't want to fucking have them around anymore.
Right.
I know.
That's true.
And I think it actually helps me understand you much more now, because I find like, you know, I'm learning as I get older, like, and being around so many people, like the most judgmental people are the ones who are actually the most judgmental about themselves.
Ooh, Nick thinks I'm judgy.
And no, but I think, you know,
I am.
But here's the thing: is like you also just sat here and was, you know, telling everyone how, like, you know, you wish everyone could just look at people and see the kindness and speak from love and see the love in people. And I'm like, if you can say that for everyone to do that, you have to do that with yourself first.
I know, sometimes it's hardest with yourself, isn't it?
I will tell you this.
But I have to commend you for being so vulnerable and honest and to
Yeah.
put it out
Well,
on
I
the
thank
table.
all you guys for the feedback and the nice things you said.
And Mara, I will tell you this. After owning my own personal training company for over a decade, it doesn't matter if you're skinny or if you're overweight. Every single one of my clients was unhappy with their body.
Exactly.
They were the skinniest person.
Yeah.
She would go ahead and grab the back of her legs and say, "Look at all this fat," and she was so skinny. There was like no fat. It was skin.
Also, when I lost a ton of weight like 8 years ago, because I was just like, that's it, I'm going to be perfect, you know, and I like went all aggro with the diet and the exercising. I got to my goal weight, but I didn't feel... It still didn't fix anything.
Right.
Like, it was one less thing I had to worry about.
Exactly.
I
It's
felt
not
a little
outside,
bit
it's
more
inside.
comfortable with myself looking in the mirror, but it was still, the mindset was still fucked up.
Look, I used to look in things and sit there and go, my height, I should be a size 6. I think I was born a size 8. I don't know. When my father died, okay, which was a big traumatic thing in my life, I went down to that size 6.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did. I went from, I think I was a 12 to a 6
From
in
all
a
the
year.
emotional turmoil, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't deal with shit. So I deal with it now. I wasn't dealing with it then.
Okay.
So I finally got down to my goal of size 6. I looked horrible. I mean, my face was hollow. I mean,
Sunken in, yeah.
my bones. I was so excited. My bones were showing. I was so. Oh my god! You could see this, and I have those dimples back there. Oh my god! You can. Oh my god! I have hip bones. But I was feeding into what I thought was what would have made me happy. And I look at pictures now of me then. I don't even look like me.
Yeah.
I don't. It just totally physically changed me. And I thought, okay, I'm going to gain some weight. And I'm an 8, and I will always be an 8. I'm a high 8 and a low 8, but I'm still an 8. But I do that not because of to be an 8. I do it because I feel healthier at this weight. I used to be a size 16 a long time ago. So I've been, you know, a 6, and I keep those pair of pants. One size 16 pair of pants in my closet to remind me how unhappy, because it was unhappy and unhealthy
Right.
I was. And it
And
will
that's the key,
always be a
right?
reminder.
I think like plus size people, you know, it doesn't matter what gender or whatever, like people who are overweight it's only, to me, something I'm concerned with if it's unhealthy for them.
Right.
Like,
Right.
if their heart is working really hard to exist, then you probably should lose some weight.
Well, there's the overweight, and then there's like just being a little, you know, normal.
Yeah,
And
like
then,
me.
Like
normal.
me.
Yeah.
And then there's, but anyway, people shouldn't have to be judged or feel less than for what they look
But
like.
that's our society, right? Like, if you look in the Middle Ages, like, people were,
robust.
Rubenesque.
yeah, they were,
Yeah.
They were
that was
wealthy.
beauty,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, the beauty was, like, you
Yeah.
had to be plus sized,
Yeah, I know.
basically,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So,
It's culture. And I just
yeah.
think that again, like, if we didn't have to see, if we were all blind, I mean,
Why? Why should we be blind to see your beauty
But
or
no,
to
I think
not
it's,
see your flaws?
It's less about that. I think
no, I'm saying because we wouldn't be judging people by their appearance.
Oh, okay.
But we, I think whether you're talking about transgendered or sexuality or weight or color, it's up to everyone to really change the attitude.
Exactly.
That we're judging everyone by all the time.
Because we're also judging ourselves the hardest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And on that note, we've come to another ending
That's
of
why you
another
should all
show.
come to Equality Fashion Week,
For
because then you can see
Inclusive.
all of the different beauty that we have.
I
love
it.
Exactly.
I love it.
So
I wanna go.
I want to thank Nick. Nick, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for
Thank
everything.
you.
October 10th down at the Globe
October
Theater.
13th.
Sorry, October 13th at the Globe Theater. EqualityFashionWeek.com for your tickets. Here, I'll show you. Go to Between the Sheets Facebook page and give me some guesses. 2 free tickets.
It starts at 6:30 is when doors open.
6:30 when doors open.
And then there's
We
an after
are
party after.
we are sponsoring a media sponsor, and he's got a lot of. They have a lot of things.
I did
Shit.
okay, but
That's for
They
all,
have
that's
a
for
lot
all
of
the
stuff
mistakes
going
I
on
made in
down
my head.
there. Don't forget, our next show is October 18th. We will have Bree Darling and Cherie Curry from the Runaways right here premiering a few new singles from their new album. So I want you to join us. Again, the 1st and 3rd. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram, QTE Brett. And BetweenTheSheetsPodcast.com. Nick, where can they find you and your apparel?
NickKacy.com, NikkKacy.com.
Mara Shane on Facebook.
Kim Sanchez just doing the thing.
Wendy Nathan, you can find me at Goddess Camp International on Facebook.
Delisha Naomi, you can find me at whatthehealth.net.
Roxanne Rosen, you can find me on Facebook.
Thank you guys for joining us. Really, it was a little intense today. It was very, our show. I love this because our shows go like this.
Yeah.
And there's never 2 shows alike. We're unpredictable. We get deep. We get stupid sometimes. We are funny always. But please, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. It'll be up on YouTube in a couple of days. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
And it's on Facebook.
Peace out.